you need to be prepared, because one of the most spiritually loaded full moons of the year is just days away. You won't believe what you're about to witness. This isn't just another lunar moment. It's the first full moon of February, and if you're even remotely tapped in, you already know how much this will affect you. It's crucial for you to be aware of the changes this will bring, because this moon alone is going to affect the rest of February. February is no longer the quiet month. It's the ignition point. For most people, February has always felt like a pause, a cold gray in between, spiritually slow, emotionally flat. But not this time. This moon doesn't fit inside that pattern. It shatters it. This February opens like a portal under pressure, and this full moon is the hand that pulls the latch. The energy isn't soft. It's not subtle. It's disruptive in the way all real shifts are. Because what follows this moon? A lineup of eclipses, planetary alignments, and energetic waves that haven't hit this hard in months. And all of it is being charged by this one moon. This isn't transition. It's ignition. For a moon named after winter, the snow moon has a strange habit of waking up the parts of you that haven't felt alive in years. This one flips the usual script entirely. Instead of heaviness, instead of emotional hibernation, this moon brings back sparks of joy you didn't even realize you'd misplaced. It's the kind of joy that feels almost like a memory. Simple moments, small delights, quiet things that once made you feel human in the best way possible. And here's the twist. This isn't regression. It's not you slipping backward into some childish state. It's actually a form of subtle rebellion. As adults, we're conditioned into seriousness, responsibility, and emotional monotony. But this moon reintroduces laughter, curiosity, and spontaneity as if they're secret tools you forgot you owned. Joy isn't immaturity. It's intelligence that refuses to die. People will notice themselves wanting to do things they haven't done in forever, walking without a destination, creating something with no purpose other than feeling alive again. These impulses aren't random. They're a reminder that joy is not a luxury, it's fuel. And this full moon treats joy like strategy, the strategy your soul has been waiting to use. The magic of this snow moon is that it makes delight feel intentional. It makes lightness feel powerful. And for the first time in a while, you may feel like life is inviting you back into color. This is where February stops feeling symbolic and starts feeling real. Under this full moon, choices begin unfolding in ways that don't feel entirely like your decisions. Yet somehow they take you exactly where you needed to be. It's that strange moment when life seems to move first, and you simply keep up. A door closes before you consciously decide to close it. An opportunity arrives before you officially go looking for it. A path clears without you pushing. It can feel unsettling at first, like the universe stole the wheel for a second. But there's another layer to it. A quiet relief that things are finally shifting without you having to fight for the momentum. Sometimes life moves you because you're too used to standing still. This unchosen choice effect shows up in the tiniest decisions all the way to major turning points. You might reach a conclusion you've avoided for months and feel oddly calm about it. You might make a move that feels sudden but simultaneously overdue. You might let go of something you thought you'd cling to forever, and the release feels natural instead of painful. It's not loss of control. It's alignment finally overriding hesitation. There's a moment this month where you'll realize something profound. The direction you're being pulled toward is the same direction you secretly wanted all along. You are just afraid to admit it. And once this momentum starts, February doesn't slow down for anyone. The energy only picks up from here. And now, I welcome you to today's comment highlight of the day. Nothing outside of yourself could ever truly define or determine your true identity, but how you responded to life and treated others absolutely revealed it in plain sight. What hits me about this is how simple and uncomfortable it is. Most people spend years trying to find themselves in labels, roles, or what other people think. But if you really look at it, who you are shows up in your reactions, in how you move when things don't go your way, in how you treat people when there's nothing to gain. Identity isn't something you announce. It's something people quietly experience from you. Thank you for this one. After this full moon, February stops acting like the slow, icy month everyone expects and starts behaving like a road finally clearing after years of construction. People who've been stuck in long delays, complicated situations, or emotional limbo will suddenly notice something shift. Things that felt impossible to move suddenly begin moving, and not with force, with ease. Conversations open up. Plans that were hanging for months land exactly where they need to. Answers appear without the exhausting overthinking that usually precedes them. It's the kind of shift where life stops dragging its feet and starts matching your pace. February becomes a month of green lights, not because everything is magically perfect, but because the resistance drops. You say something once and it's understood. You make a choice and it aligns instead of exploding. You take a small action and it multiplies faster than you expect. When the path is right, the world stops arguing with you. This month brings that feeling, the sensation of being supported instead of blocked, of being carried instead of constantly pushing. Instead of the usual spiritual narrative of purging, releasing, detoxing, or battling shadows, this February's energy feels like permission. Permission to move, permission to express, permission to act on the things you've been holding back because you feared the timing wasn't right. It's not a month of questioning everything. It's a month of getting answers at a pace that actually feels rewarding. This is a rare tone in spirituality, a month that isn't asking you to dig deeper or heal harder, but to finally experience the benefits of the work you've already done. February becomes a window where momentum feels natural, not manufactured. And once this energy clicks, it becomes extremely difficult to go back to the old patterns of hesitation. One of the strangest and most consistent effects of this full moon is how it rewires people's attention. Not by creating problems, but by redirecting focus in a way that feels strangely effortless. You might notice that things you used to tolerate, repetitive conversations, surface-level stimulation, recycled ideas, empty entertainment, suddenly feel draining in a way that doesn't match your old habits. It's not burnout. It's not impatience. It's a quiet recognition that your mind doesn't want to spend energy on anything that doesn't actually feed you anymore. This shift isn't about harsh judgment or becoming too spiritual for the world. It's your brain filtering noise before you even realize it's doing so. You don't force yourself to seek depth. You naturally lose interest in anything that doesn't give you something real. When your mind outgrows a level, even the familiar becomes boring. That's what this moon triggers. A clean, almost gentle disinterest in anything that feels repetitive or emotionally hollow. You might catch yourself zoning out in conversations that never go anywhere. You might feel oddly disconnected from content that used to entertain you, but now feels predictable. You might feel pulled toward things that expand you, even if they come in simple forms. A meaningful talk, a creative idea, a question that makes you think, an experience that feels grounded. The point isn't that you're becoming more serious. It's that you're becoming more selective, without trying, without planning it, without forcing yourself into a new mindset. This full moon marks the moment where your attention stops chasing stimulation and starts choosing nourishment. And once your mind adapts to this new filter, everything in your life will feel different. Conversations, choices, relationships, goals. Because when your attention shifts, your entire reality shifts with it. One of the most overlooked effects of this February full moon is how directly it shines on the abilities people forgot they had. Not their wounds, not their insecurities, not the tired narratives about what needs healing. This moon flips the emphasis entirely. It highlights your competencies, your quiet instincts, your unrealized talents, the things that make you powerful without you even trying. It's the kind of lunar energy that forces you to notice what's been working for you all along, even in moments where you thought nothing was moving. For many people, this shows up as an instinct activating at exactly the right moment. You respond quicker. You anticipate things without overthinking. You make decisions with a clarity that feels almost instinctive. There's no dramatic build-up, no spiritual symbolism you need to decode. It simply happens, and it reminds you of a version of yourself that you may have pushed aside because life demanded constant survival mode. There's also a rise in sudden bursts of confidence, the kind that appears precisely when you need it, even if you've been doubting yourself for months. A conversation you've been avoiding becomes easy. A boundary you were afraid to set suddenly feels natural. A goal you kept putting off begins moving because you finally remember that you're capable, not in theory, but in action. This moon doesn't give you new strength. It reveals the strength that's been dormant because you never had the right moment to use it. You're not discovering new power. You're remembering old power. And then there are the hidden talents. Not dramatic, Hollywood-level talents, but the subtle gifts that change the direction of your life when you acknowledge them. The way you communicate, the way you organize chaos, the way you read between the lines, the way you create solutions no one else sees. February becomes the month where people suddenly realize they've been underestimating themselves for years, simply because they were too busy surviving to notice the brilliance they kept carrying. This full moon marks the beginning of a month where people reconnect with the strongest, clearest, most capable parts of themselves. The parts that were never lost, just waiting for the right light to be seen again. While most full moons trigger emotional intensity or dramatic revelations, this one works differently. Instead of pushing people apart or pulling old conflicts to the surface, it brings in a wave of connection that feels unusually grounded and intentional. February becomes a collaborative month, the kind where conversations align without effort, where interactions feel purposeful instead of draining, and where the right people seem to enter your life with almost perfect timing. This is partly because the energy of this moon softens the noise between people. You understand others more clearly. You speak more honestly without feeling exposed. You're more receptive to support, and others are more willing to offer it. The emotional static that usually gets in the way, misunderstandings, insecurities, assumptions, quiets down enough for real connection to happen. It's a rare moment where authenticity feels safe instead of risky. You'll notice that the relationships forming this month aren't accidental. They have a strange precision to them, almost like they're arriving with a purpose you haven't fully understood yet. Someone reaches out, and it feels significant. Someone new appears, and the timing feels too aligned to ignore. Partnerships, collaborations, or even simple conversations carry weight, momentum, and clarity. When the right people arrive, alignment becomes effortless. This isn't about finding soulmates or dramatic spiritual bonds. It's about forming alliances that support who you're becoming, not who you were. People enter your life because February acts like a magnet, attracting the exact energies that match your next chapter. You might meet someone whose ideas spark something in you, someone who believes in your vision, someone who pushes you forward simply by being aligned with your direction. This moon transforms February into a network of meaningful encounters. Not chaotic, not overwhelming, but strategic in the most natural way possible. It's a month where connection becomes a form of guidance, and every new interaction feels like a subtle nudge toward the version of you that's emerging. February introduces a completely different internal landscape compared to January, and the full moon on the 1st is what activates that shift. January was dominated by mental tension, overthinking, analyzing, trying to predict outcomes, replaying scenarios, and trying to make the smartest choice in a way that often led to paralysis instead of clarity. It was a month of strategy, survival mode responses, and careful steps. But February flips that dynamic entirely. This month moves from the mind to the heart, and the transition is not subtle. It feels like the volume knob on intuition gets turned up, while the noise of fear and doubt finally quiets down. Under this full moon, decision-making becomes less about logic and risk calculations and more about alignment. You stop asking, "What's the safest option?" and start asking, "What feels true?" That single shift changes everything. Suddenly, things that looked complicated become simple, not because the circumstances changed, but because your internal compass stopped trying to protect you from life and started guiding you through it. Clarity isn't found in thinking harder. It's found in listening deeper. This heart-led movement doesn't make February chaotic or impulsive. It actually makes it freer. When you lead with intuition instead of anxiety, choices feel lighter. You stop negotiating with your desires. You stop running circles around decisions you already know the answer to. You stop delaying the things you truly want because you're afraid of missteps. Instead, February brings a feeling of emotional spaciousness, a sense that your inner world is finally allowed to breathe. People will find themselves acting from authenticity without second-guessing every impulse. You speak more honestly. You follow through on ideas that excite you. You gravitate toward what feels nourishing, not just what looks practical. And the more you choose from the heart, the more the universe seems to respond in kind. February becomes a month where life feels cooperative instead of combative. The heaviness that weighed down January loosens, and in its place comes a warm sense of internal permission. Permission to trust yourself, permission to follow what feels right, and permission to move toward a life that matches who you're becoming rather than who you've been. February arrives with a completely different rhythm than anything we've felt in a long time. It doesn't creep in quietly or wait for you to get ready. It shows up already moving. It feels like the month itself inhales sharply. For many people, this will be the first time in ages that life stops feeling paused and starts feeling undeniably alive. The February 1st full moon doesn't just introduce this energy, it activates it, almost like someone finally flipped the switch on a system that's been running in low-power mode since last year. This full moon behaves like a catalyst, the kind of catalyst that speeds up everything it touches. Decisions happen faster. Opportunities reveal themselves sooner. People start feeling that pull again, the one they thought they lost somewhere back in the exhaustion of late 2025. And it's not the chaotic type of acceleration where life rushes past you. It's the clean kind, the kind that gives direction, not dizziness. Momentum arrives when the universe trusts you to move. This moon marks the moment that trust returns. Dormant dreams begin waking up in ways that feel eerily synchronized with your current life. You'll look at goals you once shelved, not because they were unrealistic, but because you were tired, overwhelmed, or simply waiting for the right timing, and suddenly feel curiosity again, ambition again, possibility again. You may notice creative sparks coming back, ideas you wanted to explore months ago now resurfacing with clarity, or opportunities lining up in patterns that make far more sense now than they would have before. And if you're still here at this point in the video, I want you to know how much that means. You didn't just watch, you stayed present. And that says something about where you are in your journey right now. Most people click away long before the message lands, but you stayed, and that tells me you're aligned with this shift more than you may realize. This February energy isn't here to overwhelm you. It's here to remind you that life can speed up in beautiful ways, that momentum can return without chaos, and that clarity doesn't always have to arrive through struggle. Sometimes it shows up in a single decision, a single moment, or even a single sentence that sticks with you long after the screen goes dark. As you move into the days ahead, don't rush to understand everything. Just pay attention to what feels easier, what feels lighter, and what feels surprisingly possible again. Those small signals are the month guiding you forward. And no matter what February brings, I hope it gives you the one thing you've been needing most, the feeling that something good is finally on its way.